Okay, what is going on, you guys? It is me, Tommy, Tom, whatever you want to call me. It's like Thomas three-name Hall. What am I even talking about? Oh yeah, so sorry I haven't been around lately. My life has just been a bit crazy, just trying to figure out where I'm going as far as a career. Super exciting stuff. Such as the question of life. I think that a lot of 20-year-olds probably are in the same boat, and if they're not, then they're not 20. They're secretly like 55. I wanted to talk to you guys about the struggle of moving abroad. So that's really fun and exciting, and it's coming up now. Okay, let's start with number one. Okay, so you bought a plane ticket. You are now jumping ship to go to, let's say, I don't know, the UK. And you have no idea where to begin. I guess essentially the struggle is going to be real when you first land there, because if you don't know anyone, best bet is probably to jump into a hostel. And it's going to be an adjustment. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a flood of excitement because you're stepping off a plane, you're brand new, you're just gonna like wander around and see what's up, meet some cool people, have some fun. But then the realities of everyday life kind of settle in, and you're just like, what is happening? So just be mentally prepared to really make an effort to, number one, make friends. Join as many clubs and groups as you can, regardless if you might be interested in them, or if you're like, if it's like a semi-hobby type of thing. Just because you might just meet some people that are pretty cool, and then they can be your startup friends from there. A lot of friends that you might meet the first kind of few weeks, it might not necessarily be your long-term friends. I don't know if any of you have kind of felt that, but that's what I've kind of known going into all of this, and having done it about 5 times, I would like to think I know what I'm talking about. So, as for me, when I first moved to London back in 2013, and I honestly thought that it was going to be like university, kind of like a study abroad type of thing, where you're just like having fun all the time, and you're just like, oh, look at me, like, I'm in Europe, enjoying my entire life. That was like very disappointing when I came to the realization that it was not remotely the case. I think I made like 6 months without really without like making any friends when I first moved to London. So I advise you to not do that, because I actually moved out of London because I just wasn't liking it, because I didn't throw myself in it as much as I should have. So I would suggest throwing yourself into like a mix of, different clubs, different meetups. There's this website called meetup.com, and there's a lot of weirdos on that website, but at the same time you might meet some really cool people. I was actually just down in Brighton on a couple week gig that I had as a freelancer for a production company, and when I was down there I met up with some photographers, because if from my Instagram you might be able to tell that I like photography, so I jumped in with them and just kind of shot around and met some really cool friends. When I was over in Vancouver on my like 3rd stint around the globe, I joined a gay soccer league. Which was great. I mean, honestly, soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I just joined to meet people, and I actually got a boyfriend out of it, which was pretty awesome. But then that just kind of ended soon after. But that doesn't matter. The point was that I made some friends during my like first initial couple months when I started out in Vancouver, which made the whole move a lot easier and a lot more exciting, and I loved Vancouver specifically just because I had friends immediately. Number 2. Expectations. Obviously, when you move abroad, you're super excited. You have this whole vision of like what your life is going to be like, regardless of what country you move to, regardless of what city you move to. I would like go ahead and probably like lower those expectations, just so you don't like psych yourself out. Speaking from experience, when I moved to London the first time, as I said back in 2013, God, it feels like so long ago. When I was 21. My expectations were like through the actual roof. I was like, this is my dream, I'm gonna live here for the rest of my life, everything's gonna be amazing. I mean, it turns out after only living there for 8 months, I left. So it wasn't amazing, it wasn't at all what I thought, and it made me hate the actual city of London, which is really unfortunate because London's amazing. And that's why I'm here again, as I've said in my previous videos, to really give it a second shot and prove to myself that I can do it. And live out that childhood dream of when I was about 16. Anyway, so definitely lower your expectations. Don't count on like having the best kind of life within the first like 6 months. I know that sounds so depressing, but so I'm just laughing because it's actually so true. I mean, now it's my second stint in England right now, and I'm only about 2 months in, and I'm enjoying it, but it's obviously not what it could have been, and it's not what it was like in Vancouver. I don't have that many friends here, which I'm not too worried about because I know the whole process takes time to really meet those genuine people, to go have a beer with, or to go like do whatever with, or go on a road trip, or fly over Europe with, anything like that. It really takes time to meet some people and to just like feel comfortable and settled, to make it your home. So I would definitely say like lower your expectations, unfortunately. Just don't psych yourself out and then have it kind of pull a 180 on you and make you really feel that you don't like the place and make you want to go home. That's not the point of moving abroad. The point of moving abroad is obviously to fulfill some need inside you to really feel alive and ambitious and travel oriented. Maybe number no, that's 4. If I could count, that would be really helpful. Number 3, I would probably say housing and jobs. I think it'd be best to crack on to jobs regardless of what you're doing before you fly over. If you're lucky enough or talented enough to really have connections here already, then so be it. Or if you have a job lined up or something that's, a job that's transferring you over to a different country, then, I mean, you're already set and made. You've already got everything kind of set up for you, which is amazing. But for those of you who actually don't have any of that, like me, I would suggest applying beforehand. The first time when I was here, back again in 2013, I was applying nonstop on a few production websites and kind of like Indeed and other Facebook groups and everything. And I actually got a job within 3 weeks of moving here. That will not always be the case. Round 2, I'm here, and it's been 2 months, and I'm working part-time at a bar and doing some freelance stuff on the side, as well as just trying to figure out everything kind of situating, money-wise, that kind of thing, where I can go down the road. So, yeah, it just takes some time to really find that job that you really want, and obviously, as you already are aware, don't do a job just because of the money, don't do a job just because you can't be asked to really... As far as accommodation goes, if you don't have some contacts or friends or anything, I've got some family up in Oxford, so I'm actually just kind of bumming it with them until I figure everything out, which I'm obviously extremely thankful for. If you don't have any of that, obviously a hostel would be the best situation, and then just cheap accommodation. Room shares, just don't get your own apartment, I think, to be honest, unless you're like actually an extremely introverted person. I think the whole aspect of moving abroad is to really jump in head first and really submerge yourself into everything and get friends, get going, kind of just love every aspect of it, regardless if you have no money or regardless if you're making tons and tons of cash. Number 4. Hey, look, I did it this time. Number 4, I would actually say the main struggle is self-doubt. Maybe that should have been number 1, but I'll save the best for last. Self-doubt, hands down. There's always a phase going through your head, and I'm sure many of you had it before, and it's always just the question of, what am I actually doing? I'm 26, turning 27, and I've spoken to many 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, including my parents and friends' parents. They all have the same question. I don't think that question ever disappears unless you legitimately I don't know, just had it in your head where you were like, I'm gonna do this when you were 18, and then everything just magically worked out, or you just pushed yourself really hard, which I'm doing now, so that's exciting. But it's self-doubt. I mean, when you move to a different country, you have no one really to really fall on or rely on. You obviously sit with your thoughts a lot, and it's just a bit upsetting, but also it's reality. Don't listen to those thoughts. I had a friend over who just moved to New Zealand from Canada, and he was like, what am I doing here? I could be earning twice as much back in Canada, and then I could come back down here and then figure it out from there and have a bit more money. But I was like, listen, that's not the point. Regardless if you're literally broke like me, or if you've got some money and say that you're broke, it's not the point. Don't do that. Just don't leave just because you can make more money, or you could just be a bit happier somewhere else. It's always a struggle adjusting and readapting to a different country, culture-wise, people-wise, just life-wise. Restarting your life is extremely frustrating, annoying, exciting, and it's just a struggle. It really is. Sorry, I just spit everywhere. Restarting your life is really hard. It's really, really hard, and I don't blame people who literally just stay in their hometown. There's a 6-month period of struggle central. And I'm currently in month 2 of that. So that's really exciting. It just takes a while for your life to get like fully adapted and adjusted to your new standard of living in a different country. So bear with that and keep that in mind when you do run across the world, because the last thing you want to do is, listen to your self-doubt and run back home and be like, oh, it wasn't for me, blah, blah, blah. Because I did that. I survived 8 months in London at a job that I did not like, and I left because I didn't like the job, which made me essentially hate London, which is a shame because London is literally an amazing city. So this is why I'm really back again, because I know that the struggle is really a hardship to endure and you can get through it. And I've gotten through it so many other times, and I know how I got through it, and that was by the tips that I just suggested earlier. And just, obviously ignore that self-doubt. This is literally turning into a motivational speech. I should be like a life motivational speaker or something. Yeah, so that's that. That was the last one. 4 tips to, the struggle of living abroad and how to really push past them. Subscribe for more videos. I'm gonna do a lot more stuff about living here, as well as what I'm going against, getting up to, and in that process. So fun times. Like, subscribe in some part of this frame. I think it's down here. So do that. And you'll get to see more of this face, which is super exciting. Anyway, bye you guys. Have a fun day. Bye. Bye. Bye.